Being a mom in 2024 could be one of the more complicated times in history. Though we have technology to help make our lives easier, we have an overwhelming amount of information and options, and the potential for far too much comparison and feedback. In a day and age where being a mom should be easier than ever, we have machines that do our laundry, that do our dishes, vacuum our floors. We can order groceries at the click of a button or the press of a finger. We can easily organize our schedules on Google Calendar and plug in the kids' extracurricular activities into our maps and get there in our cars. All of this, and I still often talk to moms who are extremely overwhelmed. And as a mom myself, I, of course, experience it too. If only we could take all of the good that this modern day offers, but neglect the bad that comes along with it. I think it's possible. I think we need to know that we don't have to do all the things. I recently had a podcast guest that inspired me to take more seriously the information I'm taking in. Everything from social media to podcasts to YouTube videos. So often we leave what we think about to an algorithm. We don't really get to choose what comes in. Even if we curate what we follow, we try to keep it all very positive. Ultimately, scrolling on an app, no matter how much screen time limits we place on ourselves or what restrictions we put in place, is not up to us. What pops up, what we are going to worry about today, is ultimately out of our control. And as moms in this day and age, we sure are presented with a lot of things to worry about. So I just finished reading Erin Lochner's book, The Opt-Out Family, and she goes into this a lot, how we take certain things that we should worry about and then blow them way out of proportion to the real, actual relative risk that it poses to our child. Moms back in the 80s, they did not have to worry about this. They were allowed to let their kids play outside without monitoring them constantly, without checking in with them constantly. And then we also have the pressure to feel like we need to do absolutely everything. So getting our kids in every extracurricular activity, spending one-on-one time with each child on a designated night of the week. So although household work has become so much easier, we don't have to worry about the basic essentials of life. They're a lot easier to accomplish. We have a lot more mental burden to bear. Now, this we could blame on society, we can blame on social media. Really, the only way that you can fix it is to address it in your own home and think of the changes that you can personally make, or that I can personally make. I'm speaking to myself here too. These videos are always a reminder, not only to you, but to myself. Ultimately, I discuss things that I'm learning. This morning, I am doing some prep for a fun adventure that our family is going to take. So I'm making some sourdough bread, sourdough hamburger buns, some homemade granola bars, all 3 recipes over on the Farmhouse on Boone blog, so farmhouseonboone.com. I haven't made these granola bars in a while. Reminded after making them that I should have these in our regular rotation. So easy, so good. Don't have to worry about seed oils or, you're talking about all the things that we feel like we have to worry about these days, but consider me a product of 2024, and I'd rather not have some of those questionable ingredients. And it's really not that hard to avoid them if you're just using like basic stuff at home. Is that to say that I don't sometimes give my kids seed oils? Absolutely not. We don't worry about it 100%. But when I can, I do enjoy making things from scratch. It's also a frugal thing to do. These days, new moms even feel that they need to track everything that their baby does. So when they sleep, when they wake up, when they change their diaper or fed their first food, no wonder things can be overwhelming if you have to worry about every single little thing. In the Opt-Out Family book I just read, Erin was interviewing a new mom, and the new mom was reflecting on how hard parenting is, and all of these apps on her phone really help to simplify that job, help her to have more time to engage with her baby. During the conversation, they had to pause because the baby woke up and she had to log her nap time really fast, and she was talking about how it starts from the very beginning. You get these apps that help you to track your pregnancy, but then they also show you all the possible things that could happen each week of pregnancy. And And then you have apps to help you to prepare for natural labor and then track the contractions and then tracking everything the baby does. All of this really emphasizes that there's a lot to watch, a lot to monitor, a lot to worry about. There are so many things that could go wrong. This is being overemphasized in a mom's brain. And this can happen with so many things, whether your children are babies or they're older. What things am I seeing that I'm thinking that it's a real danger that makes me want to bubble wrap my kids, put them in front of the TV so they never can get hurt? With the way information spreads, we hear about everything. We therefore worry about everything. And it can suck the joy out of motherhood. Several months ago, or maybe a year ago, I had Katie from Now That We're a Family on the podcast, and we talked about the concept of, because we have life a little bit easier these days and all of the regular, ordinary, daily task things, that we find other things to worry about. And I wonder myself if there are things that I am overcomplicating and overthinking and feeling too much pressure that maybe just doesn't belong. One thing I love to do with the kids in the summer is take road trips. I want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Wander. We were able to find this home right off the Michigan shore, just a 6-hour road trip away, which for us is so much easier because we can pack food from home. We don't have to worry about eating all out the whole time. This was a convenient, relatively easy as it can be with 8 kids. The setting is beautiful, and the hospitality is even better. This place came equipped with all the things we need for our large family. We have refrigerator space, plenty of bedrooms, plenty of bathrooms, washer dryer, which is always a requirement for a trip because I like to pack light. There was even an espresso machine, so we figured since we're driving, let's bring our espresso. I don't like whenever we go on vacation that we always end up drinking worse coffee than at home, so I'm like, Luke, let's bring it. And then I saw they have an espresso machine, which my parents have at their house, and it tastes so good. It's just espresso, so we wouldn't even need to do that. Wander is unique and combines the quality of a luxury hotel with the vacation home. They have inspiring views, hotel-grade amenities, dreamy beds, top-tier 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better. Use my link, wander.com/farmhouse on Boone, and create your own account, and you can enter to win a 3-night luxury trip. Thanks, Wander, for sponsoring this video. All the anxiety that moms feel today and the pressure to worry about every little thing, this is something I reflect on a lot because everyone only has so much brain capacity to think about the things in their home and lives and schedules. And so if your threshold of what you're worrying about is very low, then you can't move on to other things because you could possibly be taking too seriously some things that aren't important. I'm always trying to assess this when life feels really difficult. I think, what am I giving too much stress and anxiety and worry and priority to that isn't actually a life essential, that isn't going to help my kids grow up to be independent people or feel loved? It can be a home inventory problem. It can be a schedule problem where you just have too many things that you've committed to. I know I personally have a hard time saying no to things. Or it can even just be a problem of too much information coming in from too many different sources. Sometimes you just need to go down to the bare bones basics. One thing I've done lately to minimize the random information that comes in my brain is carry a book around with me, something that I've selected from an author that I'm inspired by or want to be inspired by, instead of carrying around my phone, habitually checking things like email or Pinterest. I keep the Instagram app and Facebook off my phone, but I still find other things like the weather, just so many little things I want to see compulsively. Carrying around a book really sets the pace for a slower feeling, less anxiety, less feeling like you're doing all the things. In our day of information overload, it can come in the form of researching the smallest, tiniest things that back in the day, someone would have just gone to the store, grabbed the thing that they had, never even thought about it again, never allowing that to be the thing that they were accomplishing that day, moving on to other activities or whatever they wanted to do. I see this pressure to do it all happen a lot in the homeschooling community too. Something that worried me a lot more in the earlier years of homeschooling before I had any proof of kids on the other side of reading and writing and long division. Now that I have several over there on that side, I see how much less I needed to worry and how much more I could allow the learning process to happen. It happens so naturally for children. One of the advantages of having a large family is learning this lesson that you don't have to do it all, and for kids to still feel loved even if you don't sign them up for every activity, every playgroup, every homeschool co-op, because you simply do not have the time to. You have to shift your focus to the essential things, and you learn how much can be gained by a family just spending time in community together with a simplified schedule. Of course, this will look different for every family, and every family will prioritize the things that mean the most to them. So this summer, we wanted to do a lot of traveling. I shared in a recent podcast that we do not currently have a dairy cow. So whenever that happened, I got several things on the schedule so that we could spend time together as a family exploring some places that we've always wanted to before settling into the schedule in the fall with homeschool, possibly getting another dairy cow. We'll see. So we ended up doing Kentucky. We went and saw the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. We went to Florida in March. We went out to Virginia to see Colonial Williamsburg, which, by the way, I had a question in my podcast questionnaire. I have a Q&A form where somebody asked me if it was more of a tourist trap or actually really interesting and great for homeschoolers. 100% thought it was awesome. Luke and I really enjoyed Colonial Williamsburg. The kids liked it too. I think they got historyed out by the end of it. We couldn't get enough. We were asking all the questions, loved the gardens and the architecture. We thought it was really cool. So I don't know, people who are saying it's a tourist trap, I think it was awesome. I'm not sure what difference we're seeing there. And then of course, the Michigan trip was a nice little road trip, very easy because it was so close and it was on the water. A great little 3-day trip just to enjoy time by the pool and those beautiful Lake Michigan sunsets. After a trip, our whole family works together to get things back in order. This was a short one, so it really wasn't too bad. We had to unpack the cooler because we ended up bringing milk and meat and some homemade condiments. I wanted to mostly eat at home. Now we did go out to eat a little bit on the trip. We had life jackets and swimsuits, but I keep the packing of clothes very minimal. I throw almost everything in the same suitcase and then wash clothes each night. So we just repeat and wear the same things over and over again. We also did bring home a few antiques from the Found Cottage. If you listen to my podcast, I have interviewed Liz Marie on there a few times, and she owns the Found Cottage, so I had to stop by there and check it out. I've seen it on her Instagram stories and on her blog, and I want to see it in real life because we are so close. We are almost completely done with all the trips we had planned. We'll probably be home for the next year, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I always love jumping back into homemaking. It's nice to go see things that you don't see very often, to give the kids certain experiences. That's all great, but home is definitely my favorite place. It's where our life feels the least stressful, the easiest to manage. We have all of the things we need. Everything is set up how we want them. I'm hoping throughout the rest of this summer, we can take the kids down to the river. We can spend tons of time eating fresh food from the garden, jumping in swimming holes, just enjoying these hot, long summer days. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever you prioritize in your own home, this is your encouragement that you do not have to do all the things. You can pick your priorities and completely ignore the rest, even if it seems like everyone else is doing something cool, or they're signing up for everything, traveling abroad, sewing all their own clothes. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. Sometimes I think that we all just need to focus on what we have before us, what resources we have, what skills maybe we want to grow in, ideas we want to pursue. It'll look different in every season and every situation, and that is totally okay.